Welcome to Tammer Bowling Video Ball Reviews. Check out Perfect Aim Bowling for all your bowling needs. Today we are testing the new Storm HyRoad Nano, testing on a 40-foot heavier house shot and a 46-foot sport shot. First impressions, the HyRoad Nano seems like a great sport shot ball. It's cover dominant, especially fresh, and the core just has enough lope to have some influence down lane, smooth with reliable motion. For value, we gave it a solid B. It's a HyRoad core, it has the NRG cover, it's mid-priced, it offers a solid value proposition. We've changed up our scoring a little bit, so overall we gave it a B- for a house shot and B+ for a sport shot. Everyone knows the HyRoad at this point. We've seen this inverted FE2 core for years now. Most know the NRG cover by now as well, from the Virtual Gravity Nano to the Marvel S and now to the HyRoad Nano. This combination of strong solid cover stock with a 2000 grit Abralon out of box really makes the motion cover dominant. Being a higher RG core, the mid-lane read is really from the cover. The moderate backend is a combination of the bite of the cover and loping of the core, and overall this is a smooth but very understandable ball reaction. With this much out-of-box surface and moderate motion down lane, this one may have a little limited use on lighter volume house shots. We know that as the NRG cover wears a bit and lane shines, it morphs into a cleaner and snappier look. Bryan started with a weaker release for the first few shots and he instantly took a liking to the motion. Because of the volume, the ball gets down lane and the gritty cover gives that smooth but punchy move, which made it super easy for Sean to strike right away. As he starts to migrate in with a stronger hand position, the ball looks good but not as amazing as it did from more direct. It get a touch over under, and this is a bit of the nature of a house shot, release, etc. He could still strike, but you can see more variation of how the ball leaves the deck. The original HyRoad, you can easily see the cleaner and longer skid along with a higher angle created by the hybrid. Ultimately, the Nano is happier on this fresh, heavy house shot. Daye is next, and it felt like the Nano really wasn't the ideal ball for him. Although you would think this much surface is appropriate on this volume, he just needed more help from a torqueier core. The HyRoad Nano just didn't turn over aggressive enough to get a strong motion through the pins consistently. The shot is tight, but even at 40 foot, the house shot, he needed to get his breakpoint more towards 10. He just didn't get any help from the typical friction outside. The Nano just doesn't have enough torque to jump back from misses out. Once he found the line, the ball looks good, but the line was a bit tighter than one would expect on a house shot, especially with such an aggressive cover. While you see on the original that traditional HyRoad roll, it really wasn't ideal for him on this either. The pattern is too heavy and the ball was way over under accordingly. It was similar to the Nano but with less consistency after 30 feet. Finally, Bryan tests and he found the line pretty quickly on this house shot. However, again, you can see some of that over-under characteristic. Get on it a touch and it starts up early, going high. If he loses it a touch to the outside, the ball doesn't generate the angle to come back strong through the pocket. The house shot doesn't have flying back ends because of the shape of the shot, but the characteristic that makes it somewhat over-under on a house shot is what makes it a really good match on sport shots. More to come on that. Compared to the HyRoad is more snappy, but for Bryan with his accuracy, he may actually prefer the bigger move down lane than the controlled motion of the Nano on this shot. This is a longish 46-foot sport pattern, so you have to pull your breakpoint in, but you can definitely get inside and swing the ball as it breaks down. Sean is absolutely going to love the HyRoad Nano on tough shots. It's similar to the HyRoad Solid he bowled well with at Nationals a couple of years ago. It allows him to square up his angles more, and it has really good mid-lane control. The pattern shape takes care of the back-end motion. It's almost like the hot cell through the fronts, but then a reactive control motion on the back end. Remember how the hot cell is like an aggressive reactive the first half of the lane and then a urethane in the back half. The original HyRoad is probably just a little too snappy on this shot. Daye has to stay much closer to the friction line with really small angles through the front, and of course the pattern itself is tricky as small misses out and no ball comes back, although some give you better shape. Because of the aggressive cover, shots that otherwise would have flagged the headpin altogether do seem to make it back, but not enough to be pocket. The Nano's just not quite torquey enough down lane to create a ton of angle on this length sport shot. Compared to the original HyRoad, the Nano just adds some mid-lane control but loses the punch of the original down lane, so he stands about the same place on this long pattern. For Bryan, the smooth controlled roll made it quite easy to get to the pocket, as he typically plays fairly direct anyway. As you would expect, occasionally you get flat hit from a ball with lots of cover. At the same time, when we compare it to the original, he can play the same line, but again, you see that difference in length and down lane motion, but it's really on a very small scale on this long pattern. So final thoughts as you watch some of the extras. In the end, Storm added two known entities to create the HyRoad Nano. This one is cover dominant, especially with this much grit out of the box. He gets smooth mid lane control and a smooth controllable back end. It's pretty even across its phases of motion, and obviously the shape of the pattern will either make this ball look great or so-so. In the end, we felt this ball will be great for the right sport shots and decent on several house shots. It's a bit niche, and it reminds us of the Match or Torrent or even a HyRoad Solid in that regard, but when you need that smoothness front to back, this ball will be great. Definitely can see that being an asset on shorter patterns.
Thank you for watching Tamara Bowling Video Ball Reviews.